Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is all about wildcard for game week 4. Now, whether you have had a terrible start to the season and you just want to get rid of all your players and start from scratch, or this was always your plan, maybe pre-season you said, okay, I'll use the first 3 weeks and I'll wildcard in game week 4. It doesn't matter, whatever your plan or lack of plans was, this is the game week 4 wildcard team. Now, I haven't really considered it for my own team personally. I don't really hate where my team is. I've started terribly, don't get me wrong, but I don't really hate the situation that my team is in at the moment. Now, the main team that I'm going to be talking about and showing in this video is a wildcard team that also then bench boosts in game week 5 and free hits in game week 6. I think personally, if I was wildcarding this week, I would stack my chips like that. I think that if you're going to wildcard, then it's best to set up for a bench boost. And game week 5 actually seems like quite a good week for it. I also think that game week 6 is a good week for a free hit. Now, the reason for that, predominantly, is because the team that I'm going to be showing doesn't have Haaland in it. If I was wildcarding, I wouldn't be going with Haaland personally. However, I would want Haaland for game week 6. It's Man City against Burnley, and I will definitely want Haaland captain in that team. Now, I will go through at the end what changes I'd make to the team if I wasn't going to bench boost in game week 5 and if I wasn't going to free hit in game week 6, because the team would look slightly different. It doesn't actually look that much different. There's only a few changes, to be honest, but I will go through what that would look like and what changes would be made. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so starting off with the goalkeepers, and if you've watched my channel before, you'll know I hate spending money on goalkeepers. So it's no surprise that we've got a 4 million option and a 4.5 million option. If I was wildcarding, I would be going with a 4.5 and a 4 million. The 4 million option is obvious, it's Dubravka. I don't think that there's any other playing 4 million goalkeepers, and with this bench boost 5 situation, their fixture, Burnley's fixture in game week 5 is Nottingham Forest at home. Don't get me wrong, that's not like incredible. It's not a promoted team or anything like that. However, it isn't bad. And that's all you need from a bench boost, really. You're not looking to completely optimise for that 1 week, because then the rest of the weeks take a hit. So I don't mind Nottingham Forest at home. I actually quite like it even more since that result of the weekend when West Ham kind of absolutely battered them. So yeah, Dubravka is fine for bench boost 5, I think. Now, Petrovic is the 4.5 million goalkeeper I've gone for. This could be Kelleher. They're the only two I'd really consider. I'm not a big fan of Verbruggen in that slot. But obviously, what I've done here is I've left 1 million in the bank. That's with my team value. I mean, it's early doors, so I highly doubt that team values are too much different at this point. But I've got 1 million in the bank. So if you really did want a more premium goalkeeper, then the likes of Sanchez is a very good option. The likes of Raya's a great option, to be honest, because from game week 7 onwards, we're really going to want Arsenal players in our team. So yeah, I've gone with Petrovic here. I think it's mainly just because Bournemouth look a bit better than Brentford, and 2, their fixtures are probably a little bit better. So I've gone with these two. In defence, now you'll notice that I've gone quite heavy in midfield and attack, which is why there's cheap defenders now. Esteve is in here. Obviously, I just talked about Burnley, and like I said, I've got a good fixture in game week 5. If I'm wildcarding then bench boosting, I don't want to completely spend loads of money on my bench, really, just because you're not going to have a wildcard to then take that money off of the bench. And I don't really think you need to, given that Esteve and Dubravka are pretty good options and they're both really cheap. So I would still have him in. Another option you could go for is obviously there's some other 4 million options like Rodon, for example, or Goodmanson. In game week 5, they've actually got Wolves away. So again, that's not even a bad fixture. That could be an option. You could even go double up there, really, given that they are actually options. But I prefer having a 4th defender that you can actually rotate in and out. Now, Munoz is just an absolute lock in this team. I can't see a world where if you're wildcarding this week, you don't have Munoz. He firstly has unbelievable fixtures. Palace fixtures are so good. Secondly, he's just a cheat code. The bloke gets forward so much. ridiculously attacking. Now, this isn't anything new. We knew this from last season. He picked up a ridiculous amount of points. He was in everyone's team. He was in my team for a lot of the season. I just don't see a world where he's not great value, even at 5.5 million. So Munoz is in the team. One thing we did see as well, so Sarr looks like he's going to be out for a while. Now, when Sarr went off, I'm not sure if it was the exact substitution when Sarr went off or not, but Nathaniel Klein came on, and Munoz went into the place where Sarr was playing, that right-sided 10 kind of right-winger situation. So I don't think it's very likely, but there is a chance that we see him play in an actual higher-up position as well. Regardless, just put him in your team. It's pretty simple. Now, I've gone with 3 4.5 million defenders in Konza, Anderson, Senesi. Konza could be Matty Cash. I don't really see a world where Matty Cash doesn't play now. So if you want a slightly more attacking option, then Matty Cash is there to be picked. Villa's fixtures are just really good. There's not really much more to it. Villa have looked terrible, don't get me wrong. They've looked absolutely awful. In all 3 of their games, they have looked horrific. But the fixtures are there. So I just think that is a place to go with a 4.5 million defender. Obviously, these 3 could be anyone. It's just mainly price points. Like I say, you've got $1 million in the bank, so you could even take one of them up to a 5 million defender, a 5.5 million defender, or you could just choose a different 4.5 million defender. I've just gone with these guys because I like their fixtures. Anderson, Leeds at home this week. The fixtures outside of that aren't the best, but I think that Fulham are underrated as a defence. Like last season, I'm sure I saw that they were 6th for XG conceded throughout the whole season. So they underperformed the XGC a lot last season. So I just think that he's good for defensive contributions, or he will be anyway. He hasn't been yet particularly, but he will be. And the fixtures long term aren't bad at all. Senesi is one that, again, I think he would be a lock in my wildcard team, just because he is an absolute beast for these defensive contributions, an absolute beast. And their fixtures are pretty good. So these are my 5 defenders. If we're going on to the mids now, so Fernandes is someone who is just going nowhere in this team. I don't see a world where you don't go with Bruno Fernandes if you're on wildcard. He's proved that he's just got routes to points everywhere. He is everything. He is a whole midfield for Manchester United. The Manchester United midfield is diabolical without him. He is the whole midfield pretty much. I mean, he's created the most chances in that midfield. He's also won duels, the most duels. He's done it all. Tackles won. Scorecard put out some stats. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but they put out some stats, and he was leading so many of the different stats, like attacking ones, defensive ones. He's got so many routes to points that I just don't see a world where you don't pick him. Now, Salah's been disappointing this season. I don't think he's had a shot on target in the last 2 games. It's really not been great from him. But because of the fixtures, he is in this team. It's Burnley this week, and it's Everton next week. Statistically, numbers-wise, of course, it's a small sample. We've only had 3 games, but those 2 defences have been the worst in the league so far. 20th and 19th for XG conceded, 20th and 19th for shots conceded. Like, for most of the defensive stats, they are last and second last. So Salah is in my team, especially with Isak coming in now. We don't really know where the other players will fit in. We don't know whether Ekitike or Isak will play up top. I mean, against Burnley, I don't particularly expect Isak to start, but long term, we don't know. Maybe Ekitike just misses out, so who knows if you can go him. Gakpo as well, maybe Ekitike shifts to the left and Gakpo misses out long term. Maybe Wirtz misses out, and I don't know. Wirtz seems actually maybe one of the more safe ones, weirdly, because he's probably been one of the worst performers out of all of them, but regardless, who knows? Salah is safe, so Salah is in, and I'd want to captain him in the next 2 weeks, so he's definitely in. Semenyo's just a joke. The bloke has so many shots. If you've watched any of my videos from last season, you'll know how much I love Semenyo. The bloke just shoots. He gets the ball and just shoots. And if you do that enough, you will score goals. So I've got him in there. Grealish has been really, really impressive in his 2 starts so far. Everton's fixtures aren't incredible. Aston Villa this week does seem really nice though, given that they have really struggled. I mean, I don't particularly like playing Grealish against Konza, so obviously you could just start Senesi here instead of Konza if you wanted to. But either way, the Everton attack with Dewsbury, Hall and Dye, Grealish and whichever striker they go with is starting to look really nice. They've kind of swapped from last season in that last season they were good defensively, pretty terrible going forward. This season it seems to be the other way around at the moment. Now that is partly because Branthwaite is out. They rely a lot on him defensively. So yeah, I just like Grealish. I like the Everton attack at the moment. I mean, you could go and die there because Ndye's on penalties. They're both great. Anderson on the bench. Anderson's shown that he is going to be, firstly, really good for defensive contributions. Now, his owners have got really unlucky. He's hit 11 defensive contributions in all 3 of the games so far. That's one off. Obviously, midfielders need 12. So, really unlucky from Anderson owners, but he's shown that he's going to be good for it. In game week 1, he showed that he's going to be getting forward quite a lot. Obviously, there is a little bit of an issue with potentially minutes. Forest have brought in a lot of players. Now, that's because they've got European football, obviously. Hopefully, we just start to see Anderson in the league, and hopefully he's not needed too much in the European competition, but I would be a tiny bit worried about his minutes maybe. But that's the 5-man midfield I'll go with. Now, forwards, these 3 forwards are the 3 forwards to pick. I mean, you can go for a cheaper one. You can go for a Thiago. A Strand Larsen looks fine, to be honest. You can go for Evan Nilsson. I like Evan Nilsson. There is other options. However, I just don't really see a world where these 3 aren't your forwards on wildcard. Gyökeres is just a bargain at his price. He's 9 million. He's on penalties. He's going to play a load of minutes. And he's playing for one of the best teams in the league. There's not really much to dislike about him, apart from the next couple of fixtures. Forest at home isn't the best. However, Forest don't look that great at the moment. So if West Ham put 3 past them, and that was, I mean, well, who knows what Arsenal can do. But yeah, Gyökeres is in. From game week 7 onwards, you'll definitely want Gyökeres in your team. So if you're wildcarding now, you just put him in anyway. João Pedro just looks like a good option now. At the start of the season, I wasn't that keen on him because there was a lot of kind of question marks around his positioning, his minutes, etc. However, Liam Delap is now injured and it seems like he's going to be out for quite a few weeks. So João Pedro will just get the starting minutes at the number 9 now. Even if he doesn't, he's looked great when he's in the number 10. And whether Palmer goes out to the right and João Pedro's there, either way, João Pedro's getting minutes. He's not on penalties with Palmer out. I mean, probably won't matter much anyway because Palmer will play, but with Palmer out, Enzo Fernandez is obviously on penalties, but João Pedro is just, Chelsea are good and he's a good footballer, and he's going to get the minutes, so pretty simple to me. Mateta, now, he's a fantastic option. Palace have shown that even when they've got European football and they're potentially fatigued, that they can play well and get a result against Villa. A few people, myself included, thought that they might be a little bit fatigued after most of them played 90 minutes on Thursday night in the Conference League qualifier. So I thought that it might take a toll on them a little bit, but they proved that Palace are just good. They're just very good. He might suffer a little bit without Sarr, obviously without Eze, but now without Sarr. However, the fixtures are just too good to ignore, really. So I think you go with him. This is the 15 that I'd go with roughly if I was on wildcard this week. Now, like I say, there's $1 million in the bank. You can see that. So you do have options. You can change players about. If you wanted to go for a slightly more expensive forward, then you can. If you wanted to go for a more expensive mid instead of one of these, like Grealish, you can maybe go up. Or if you wanted to spend the money in defence or on the goalkeeper, then that is an option too. Like I say, I would be going without Haaland if I was wildcarding this week. I don't think that's something that you need to do. And if you're looking for a way to, I think you have to take your forwards down considerably if you're going to go with Haaland. I think that involves probably Gyökeres. I don't think you can go with any of these 3 forwards actually if you're doing that. You probably go with Haaland over Gyökeres, and then you probably take Pedro and Mateta both down to like a Evan Nilsson and Strand Larsen, or an Evan Nilsson and Thiago, something like that. I think you have to sacrifice quite a lot to get Haaland in here. But if you did want to do that, then that's the way I'd do it. What I'll do now is just show what a team would look like if you had no chip. So if it was just wildcard and then no other chips. So the highlighted positions are the ones I've changed here. This has still got $1 million in the bank, so you can do other things with it. But obviously that game week 6 fixture for Man City is Burnley. So you do want Man City players for that, which is why I've gone for Reinders over Anderson here. You then have Reinders for that game week 6 fixture. Now the next couple aren't great, but that game week 6 fixture and then onwards is pretty good as well. So I'd start with Reinders. I'd also start with an Arsenal defender, just because you're going to want Arsenal players from game week 7-ish onwards, like I mentioned. So it probably makes sense to just start with one of them. That does come at the cost of going Dewsbury Hall over Grealish. You save the however much it is there, 1.5 million. Now, another option you could do is go for Raya in goal. Then you can probably, well, you can take Gabriel down to a cheaper defender and then still go with Grealish if you wanted to. I just don't like spending money on goalkeepers, as I've mentioned before. But yeah, they're the changes I'd make here. It's not really too many. I think that this team would set you up pretty well for the next 5 to 10 game weeks. So, like I say, this is roughly what I'd be going with if I was wildcarding this week. If you like the video, do hit like. I've got a free hit video coming out soon as well. So if you're on free hit this week, which I know is pretty popular as well, then I've made a video for that, or I will be making a video for that comes out a little bit later. So stay tuned for that one. If you like this video, do hit like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.